The Chimney. It was the holidays, and Janice and Joe wanted to do something special for their grandkids. It had been a while since they did anything fun with the kids, Jim had said to his wife. "How about we get the family together and I dress up as Santa and surprise them for Christmas?" Both he and Janice agreed. After calling his son and making arrangements to gather at his son's cabin, Joe rented the Santa Claus costume and they both went shopping for presents. The day before Christmas, Joe had an idea. "Why don't I go there before the kids wake up and put the presents in the house?" Janice thought it would be a great idea. So when the kids awoke in the morning, the presents would all be there. He called his son and he agreed. His son said he would leave the keys under the rug at the front of the door, so that Joe would be able to put the presents in the cabin before they arrived that morning, and the children would be able to open the presents. Before bed, Joe set off to go to the cabin, and Janice watched him off. The next morning, when Janice awoke, she noticed that Joe hadn't made it back. She didn't think anything of it, and thought that maybe he had stayed over at the cabin, thinking there was no point in heading back so late. Besides, there had been a storm right after he left, and he had even left a message indicating it was hard driving in the snow. So Janice decided to pack up the things she planned to bring to the cabin, but when she arrived, she met Joe's son outside the cabin, with no Joe. Joe's son claimed he had left the key under the rug for his father to enter the cabin, but the key was still under the rug when they arrived. When they entered the cabin, nothing seemed disturbed, and there weren't even any presents under the tree. Scared and worried, they searched the property to no avail. After a few hours and no calls or Joe, Janice called the police. They did a search of the surrounding area, including the nearby woods, worried that perhaps Joe had wandered into the forest and had gotten lost. After a thorough search of the forest and hoping for the best, nothing was found of Joe. He had just vanished. The oddest thing was his Santa Claus costume, and the kids' presents were also missing. Although the police didn't suspect any foul play, they couldn't rule out anything. After a few days, they gave up searching, and the case was considered cold. Time passed, and the cabin was left in shambles. The family had a hard time returning after what had happened to Joe, so it was left in ruins. One day, Joe's son returned to the cabin. He had decided he would put it up for sale, and he was going through things and cleaning up the cabin for the real estate agent. He noticed a faint smell. However, he couldn't quite detect its origin at first, so he began to wander around the rooms. But each time he thought he had found the origin of the smell, he lost it. Then he came into the living room. The smell was stronger in this area, and he wondered why he hadn't noticed it before. As he got closer, there was no denying the horrible smell was coming from inside the chimney. He thought that maybe a squirrel or even a bird might have gotten trapped inside, so it was now up to him to clean up the chimney before the real estate agent showed off the property to potential buyers. He picked up a chimney poker and began to pick it up the chimney upward, hoping to dislodge whatever was trapped inside. After a few moments, something inside shuffled and seemed to drop slightly. When he poked it again, this time it dropped, easily falling out with a crash at his feet. With a horrified scream, Joe's son stumbled back. Right in front of him were the remains of Joe's body, dressed in a Santa Claus costume, and a bag filled with presents.